get to know the artist behind the epic melodies, songs, and beats. Celebrating the best new music from around the world. This is the A State of Trance podcast.
What's up? My name is Ruben Ronde and you're tuned into another episode of the State of Trance podcast. And I think this is a first because we have not one but two guests right now in the studio. Mr. Ram, how you doing?
Woo.
And Kolonie.
How you doing?
How you doing, guys? I think you're both on the different sides of trance right now, different spectrums. You're on the 124 side and you're on the 138, 140 side.
Yep.
So let's see how things are going right now. I'll start with you, Ram, because an exciting week for you.
Yes, definitely.
Releasing your album Wanderlust.
Yes.
Tell us about it.
Well, I'm very happy, of course, after 3 years of hard work to finally release it.
Mm-hmm.
It's been quite a journey for myself. I think I've put, my standards for myself higher than I always did.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wanted to bring some different arrangement, different sounds, different themes. I wanted to not get a generic album, but put my best into a whole different story. I think I succeeded, so I'm very happy with it, and I hope, of course, all the fans are also happy with it. And it's a dedication to 10 of my favorite countries in the world.
Mm-hmm.
For me, Wanderlust, it's the urge to travel. So touring is not for me only about playing music, but it's the adventure, traveling, seeing new places, meeting new people,
Mm-hmm.
eating nice food around the world. So it's kind of 4 hobbies in one side. So this is kind of a dedication.
And you mentioned that you really want to create something that's non-generic. What do you mean with that?
Well, basically, there's a lot of, things of the same. And with my arrangements, I try to give a little bit of a different spectrum of things, shorter intros, longer breaks, shorter breaks between, like different contrasts in tracks, gimmicks in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
like just a different take. I think a different take on some of the, trends what we can produce.
Mm-hmm.
So this is giving me a lot of thought and a lot of work, to try to create something, especially when you make a track, you put it away and then you're 3 tracks further and then you listen back and you're like,
hey, I want to skip this again.
We're going to do it over again, and especially for an album, it's like such a continuous process, that I had something, it's going to have such a lot of work in it, especially because you're going to go back at it and back at it. So I had something, I think this is going to be my last one, because I prefer where my mindset is now, to make something in the moment and create a kind of vibe, and roll with that instead of, pile tracks up for an album. And then you kind of, when you're 3 years busy, it's kind of sometimes you're like, should I go back? Should I go not? Should we do it? And I think for me at this point now, I want to explore new sounds. I want to explore new, ways of combining a fusion of trance, like different genres put in one.
Yeah, because you've been working on Alias as well. We'll get into that in just a little bit as well, because I want to jump over to Kolonie right now, because I think what Ram is saying is interesting, because to be honest, I'm a bit torn about releasing albums, because I think on one side you create a tool that you can tour with. So you have like a package or something that you can present to your audience or whatever.
That's the only plus.
Yeah, that's the plus side of things. I guess on the other side, from my own experience, I have the same thing right now, that let's say you want to release an album of 10 tracks, and by the time you reach 10 tracks, you already want to throw away the first ones that you created because you want to replace them with new stuff.
Yeah.
How do you look into that?
To be fair, I completely agree with what Ram said. I think nowadays music has got such a short shelf life.
Yeah.
As well, and there's so much music. I mean, if you go on the Beatport every Friday, how many tracks are there? How many new tracks?
Tons.
Exactly. So I think going back to what Ram was saying earlier, if you spend 2-3 years making an album, by the time you're ready to release the album, there's probably half the tracks on the album you probably don't really like anymore, or you're sick of listening to them.
Yeah.
So, I'm a big believer in kind of releasing in the moment as well. I try and keep my releases every sort of 4 to 6 weeks. And I mean, the sound changes. You kind of take influence of what's current, what's not. I prefer to do it that way, to be honest. Sure.
Yeah.
As opposed to.
So you don't believe in long lead times anymore. You just, you create something and you just want to throw it in the market straight away.
Yeah, but at the same time, obviously quality. You don't just want to release everything you make.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if it simply comes down to releasing a track just for the sake of releasing it, or not releasing nothing for 2 or 3 months because you're not happy with a track, I'd rather not release anything.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think now more than ever, it's important to be releasing consistently.
Yeah.
Because, as I say, it goes back to my point. There's just so much new music out there, and it's just so competitive.
Yeah, definitely.
But how do you stay? How do you say? Because what you're saying is interesting. Because I agree as well, but I still see the other side of things as well. So I'm trying to find like the balance in between everything as well. So speak to me as an up and coming artist. Like, why would I release so much music in such a short period of time? Because history shows differently that you can play a track for a year and not release it until a certain point.
It's a good question. I think if you're an up and coming artist and you're trying to break through, as I very much still am, you know,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I'm an up and coming. I'm kind of trying to break through, and it's tough. And once again, consistency. I think if you need to be releasing music consistently, you need the right radio support. You need to be getting your tracks promoted properly.
Yeah,
you know, there's a whole other side of it, the business side of it as well. It's not just a matter of just.
No, I agree. Consistency for upcoming artists is very important.
Yeah.
You know, if you made your name a little bit, you know, you're more on the radar. But if you're not, you know, otherwise you're gonna go like
100%.
You know,
you need to back it up. You know,
Yeah,
you have
exactly.
that one track. Everyone's like, yeah, it's a great track, and then everyone's waiting for the next one.
yeah,
So you need something ready to go. I think going back to the point of if you've got an album, you don't have that. You know, you might have a year of nothing.
yeah.
So
Well, yes and no, because you can. Yeah, the concept of album has changed so much because I understand it as well. Because right now, if I will put out an album with 9 new tracks, that means Spotify sees it as one release, and if you release a single from the album afterwards, you won't get any support from Spotify anymore. It disappears in the algorithms and stuff like that. But on the other side, if you release an album, you have a story that you can tell to your fans and something to tour with.
yeah, absolutely.
So it's so hard
It's a
to
little
choose
bit double,
what,
you know.
Yeah,
It's just an intention. I think you need to put in and deal with it, you know. And like for everything, there's a plus and a minus,
yeah,
you know. And definitely that was my problem. Also, I had for me, I had like I said, I have 10 brilliant tracks, but then you get that Spotify shit, you know.
Yeah.
And like which ones am I going to put with the release date, you know, and get that Spotify release after, you know. And that was for me a little bit of a disappointment, you know, that. Spotify takes it like that, you know, and the next tracks actually from mine, the last few ones I think is still brilliant, are kind of getting snowed under because of the album.
yeah.
And I think, that's pretty pity of releasing now albums.
Yeah, I guess, that's the other side of things, I guess. You're right about that as well. So, okay, so album is out of the way. Mr. Kolonie is not going to do any albums anytime soon, I think, because he's like, okay, we're not going to do anything.
I think for me, to be honest with you, I think for the next 12 months at least,
Just
I want to
a lot of singles.
Yeah, lots of singles, maybe a couple of EPs, and then an album, maybe.
Maybe a nice collab.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, 100%. You know, for your deeper stuff, we could look into it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But I think in a year or two.
What are you going to do now that Wanderlust has been released? What is on the schedule?
I'm focusing on a little bit of a different style. Like I said, I'm going to focus a little bit more on fusion style of things, a little bit harder, different kind of bass lines in it, switches, you know, like mixing everything up, you know, and just fuck all the guidelines, you know. I'm going to do totally my own stuff and try to surprise the people a little bit more. I'm doing a few collabs, which are pretty nice, a few covers. And I'm also focusing on a new project. Well, it's not new, but I'm focusing now really on some great releases. And that's my Dubyard alias. And that's more the progressive house, melodic techno. I'm doing that already for 6 years. But like for the fun, you know. And well, I've got so much feeling with it and so much fun in it. I did already different kind of warm-up sets around festivals, you know. And everybody is so, surprised by it, you know, and enthusiastic. So I said, well, why don't I pick it up a little bit and do something with it, you know.
So it's like a passion project that is coming back.
Yeah, it's just a side, you know. I don't give up trance, so don't sue me and don't email me. I'm not that, but I just think it's a great thing to do
I think it's interesting because if you see in the last 2-3 years, you see a lot of artists like yourself, like bigger profile artists that are really stuck on their uplifting side of things. But on the other side, as a passion project or something that started because of playing longer sets, I guess, you also started to embrace the slower stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
But you create a new alias. Why don't you do it under your normal name and just do whatever?
That's a good question, actually. I thought about it. Well, I thought maybe to keep things better separate, because this is a passion project, you know. And with my ROM name, I just want to go for now a little bit. Of course, I like the emotional stuff, you know, uplifting, and I will continue with that also. But I also want to explore a little bit more the harder, techier, you know, not the big breakdowns and the big melodies, but more shorter, so you can switch faster in things in your arrangement. So that's what I think I'm going to focus now a little bit on, because that's for me more of an inspiration and a trigger. I'm kind of doing so long the emotional trance, that I'm kind of at my ceiling for now, or don't have that.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, and it's not that I don't like it. It's just that I need also inspiration and motivation to do different things.
Yeah.
And that's why I want to, focus a little bit on that now and explore that. And of course, the passion project. And that's why I thought, well, let's keep it separate, and even for my sets, I love to do open to closes. And sometimes I do mention just, the around 6 hour set, but Dubjart, as my, to at least promote it already a little bit, but keep it separate still.
Okay, now I'm gonna play devil's advocate, because both of you guys are A&R managers of big labels. You have Nocturnal Nights, of course, and you're doing Vandit and Vandit Alternative. Now, here comes the question, because in 2023, I think everything's possible. You see a lot of artists releasing all kinds of different genres under the name, and just because it's good music, they put it out as a good music. Why don't you dare, or why wouldn't you advise to do that?
Well, I definitely support the bigger range of tracks. I always love to, and especially now when all the hokjes, I don't know, the compartments, everything is coming closer,
Pigeonholing,
Yeah, and I think it's absolutely amazing. I wish it was already years before this happened, Techno is coming more to trance, and more to techno. Melodic techno is coming more to, it's kind of one big bubble instead of like all the different things. So I think it's amazing for music in general. And I think as a label, we should support also artists that want to, do something different than their normal. But I always said already in many posts of mine, guys, please send me something different than normally. I will support it, because normally you always get the comments back. Yeah, labels don't support different stuff. They only want generic. No, bullshit. I love it. Embrace it. Please send me it. I want that. But yeah, it's kind of, I'm glad that now all the guidelines are dropping a little bit, so people hopefully will explore more sounds and a different arrangement. So the scene will get a little bit refreshed, and will not be so one-sided, like the vision on. But
now the question comes on, for example, you have an artist that always releases on Vandit, so that would be like 138 uplifting stuff, and suddenly a tune comes in that falls more into the Vandit alternative. Would you still advise the same producer to release under his own name on the same labels, or?
I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, the way it currently stands, we leave it up to the artist, and that's exactly what Vandit Alternative is for. Because the main Vandit label, as you know, is a trance label.
Yeah.
But in terms of the music that's been released on Vandit, it can range from 126 right up to 138. So I've released a few tracks on Vandit that have been 126. Which I suppose traditionally wouldn't be a traditional Vandit release if you go way back, because they're always banging trance, uplifting trance, just good quality trance music.
Yeah.
So the Vandit Alternative label gives us another platform for those artists that it could be a trance artist, but they're making a deeper track, for example. Let's put it on Vandit Alternative. It may be better suited. And also it's a great platform for new names that are trying to come through. We get a lot of demos come through from artists that, I had one come through the other day. It was a great track, and this guy's never released on any label. And, it's just another platform. And that's one thing with Vandit, I would say. We are, we're not like some labels where they will look at an artist's profile. Have they got 200,000 followers? If it's a good track and Paul likes it, we'll sign it. And
good music is good music.
100%.
So, also a question for both of you guys. Once again, coming back to A&Rs, you get a lot of demos, including myself. I receive so many demos. What does an up-and-coming artist, without any following, whatever, need to do to draw your attention?
Sound quality.
Yeah,
definitely.
But how do you already step in so far that you actually open the link? Because I can imagine you cannot listen to everything, right?
Well, I think communication skills from upcoming artists. Some they just drop an email with, "Hi, this is this," and a link. I've kind of like, fuck, can you not even take the effort to write a proper email, like, "Hi, I'm this and that, fan of your label," whatever. When you want to draw attention, make a nice email. Get the attention and not just drop a link and expect that we react or whatever. Say, "Oh, Magic, you get feedback, blah, blah, blah." No.
And to be fair, I would say, I'd go one step further and say, just please send a streamable link. Don't send,
or a finished version, not like I'm having an idea, but
what
is this something like?
I think if it's someone that's already on the label or someone you're already working with, by all means, please send over an idea. You can listen to it, go, yeah, it's cool. But if you're trying to grab the attention of a label and you've not previously signed music to that label, then please do send the finished product.
Yes.
But once again, please just send a link that you can just quickly stream it.
Okay, and the next step. So a nice email has been sent in. A link is there, a streamable link. What do you look for?
For me personally, I skip always pretty much through a track like very fast. And
like how you used to do with vinyls.
Yeah, exactly. And if in that 3 points it doesn't get my attention quickly, for me it's not, so it's a moment actually that you hear the drive, sound quality, breakdown part, at the moment. I think at least for the uplifting trance, the big breakdown intros, from 1 minute silence, then hoo-ha. It's for me a no-go anymore, and I'm trying to also inspire the artist, to change the whole arrangement. And like 90% of all the tracks, you can put next to it, it's exactly the same,
Yeah.
So I try to motivate them and say, from guys, try to think of a little bit of a different approach. It will be a lot better in my opinion. You will stick out more and I will sign it a lot quicker. So that's one of the points. And the standard sounds, if it's really.
Do you have a lot of artists that don't agree with you and don't want to change anything? Or do they take your opinion as like
they do
value
take
your opinion?
my opinion. Some are they don't. They say, I want to leave it like it is because I think fair enough, but I will pass it or not, or I think if there's potential. At the moment, I think, and I hope people will explore more, the different arrangements is for me, I think, a pretty big thing, It's like everything is sounding the same.
Yeah.
And I think you can agree, like all the demos, it's just hard, And
I think the first thing that I will always listen to is the production. I think the
production quality.
The first thing is the production there. That's the first thing. If the production's there, okay, right, tick number one. Then the second thing I will think to myself is, okay, right, will this track work on this label? Is it what we're looking for? Is it suitable? Does it fit within the Vandit main label? If it doesn't, does it fit onto the alternative label? If it fits within those brackets, well, then obviously it'll pass the next stage. If it doesn't, it's a no. But once again, I think with Vandit Alternative, we're quite diverse in terms of what we're looking for. We've got some tracks that are coming that are quite techno-y. We've got some other tracks from the Weekend Heroes, for example, that are absolutely smashing it. We've got some really good tracks coming from them guys that are progressive house. We've got some other tracks that are a bit more techy. So it really is quite diverse. And obviously the Vandit label is trance, good quality trance music. So, but yeah, I suppose fundamentally the main thing is the production. Is the production
sound quality number one?
Number one, sound quality, production.
Do you also come with a lot of feedback on demos, or is you already need to pass the first, the quality, I guess, and it's something interesting, and then you start like making a list of A&Ring?
Yeah, so I think from our point of view, because obviously I make music as well. So I think, what do I want when I send a demo into a label? And I'll give credit to Jamie from 03. Yeah. He is great with feedback. I used to sign tracks to 03 a couple of years ago, and you send him a track in, and he'd come back and go, "Yeah, this is a great track. I really like it. But I think the hats, I don't know, 1 minute 30. You could bring them out." And that for a producer is you can't put a price on that, because when you spend hours in the studio trying to make a track, you might think it sounds amazing, but I'm a big believer in two heads are better than one. So to get feedback from someone that's listening to the music day in and day out, and a wide variety of music.
I guess if you hear that the track has potential and you think, that could be a possible release, but there is some pointers, that could be better. I also would definitely say from, hey guys, sounds maybe good, but if you do that and that, 100. It will definitely lift the trap up. And most of the time it's also like cleaning the mix up, that they didn't give them much attention to the mix down. So, and when they do that, they say, oh yeah, sure. Yeah, that's right. And, some levels from some things, it's can be small things, but I think in the end it will make the track more suitable for signing.
I completely agree.
And what is the threshold nowadays for, because you're both DJs as well, what is the threshold for a certain release that you're like, this is something I will play and that would be the threshold? Or is it something like, this sounds good, it's a good idea, I'm not sure if I will play it, but it's good enough to sign?
I think it's an interesting question. I prefer to play it with that time, but sometimes there is kind of a factor, that depending also on my mood or my own vibe. Yeah, that I think, well, oh, this is an awesome track. Especially for my fusion sound of my fusion label. That's more fusion, harder, a mix of everything. I don't play that sound a lot. I do play it, but that's why that would be more like you said. I really like it, but I won't play that fast generally because it's not really my sound. But I do love it. But when I play harder sets, I definitely play it. So it's kind of works both ways, at least for me.
What about you?
Yeah, definitely. I completely agree with what you just said there. I mean, going back to Vandit, as I say, Paul is Paul Van Dyk's label, as everyone knows, and he has the final say.
Yeah.
So I just select the tracks that I think could work, and then obviously Paul will come back yes or no, and that's kind of how it works.
And what if he doesn't like it, but you believe in it so much that you're like, hey, come on, Paul, listen to me.
I'm going to just go with Paul.
Yeah?
Yeah, the guy's a legend. He knows his stuff. I'm like, look, Paul.
Yeah, but you know your stuff as well.
Yeah, definitely. But I
don't argue with Paul.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with Paul Van Dyk.
No, he has proven this himself many times that he has good ears.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah, Paul has the final say.
There's some questions from fans that I'm going to ask you as well. Sari Weihan wants to know, Ram, how did you get your inspiration for Amsterdam? What's the story behind the track?
Jesus, well, that's a long time ago.
That's a long time ago.
I don't know anymore what started. I think
2009.
Yeah,
like
2009.
Yeah.
I think I just broke up with Bas and Ram. So it was the start of my solo career.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of looking for what am I going to do as a solo artist, and how I'm going to present myself, which sound. So I don't think there was really kind of a real focused thing at that point. I was just exploring ideas. So, and what happened was a big surprise for me also, especially of course for the George van Dijnhoven remix. He made an excellent. But there wasn't really kind of a typical, like with nowadays, with my album, I have like, I have this idea and I have that, and this is the inspiration, or I hear
you were
that
just
on
going
YouTube.
with the flow, I guess.
Yeah, I have definitely different intentions with tracks, but at that point for Amsterdam, I'm afraid not. Pretty disappointing.
I guess sometimes but sometimes it's better to just do it like that. I guess. Okay, a question for Kolonie. By Fi Now, what's your go-to food and drink before or after a show? Let's start with the routine before a show.
To be honest with you, it depends where I am. I mean, if I'm playing in London, it's probably going to be a Nando's, and that's something that British people can relate to.
That's I have not had a good experience with Nando's, to be honest.
Yeah, it's more of a British thing, really. Just chicken and rice, glorified chicken and rice, but it's pretty straightforward.
So I remember playing in London, and everybody's like, "Yeah, you have to go to Nando's." I'm like, "Okay, let's go." Okay, I'm very, very well chuffed for this. I go to Nando's, I sit down, and I eat the chicken. It's just dry. I'm like, I was so hyped about going there because every British person is like, Nando's is the bomb, and then no. Well, okay, so Nando's, and then afterward.
Yeah, I mean, afterwards I'll just grab something quick and easy, maybe McDonald's or something. I'm pretty easy, to be fair. I'll just grab whatever whatever's around really. And
what is the main item on your rider for a show?
As I say, I'm pretty straightforward really. I mean, a few beers, vodka, bottle of vodka, cranberry juice, and some Red Bull.
Okay,
and that's pretty much it.
Let's go to them. Okay, before the show.
I'm definitely into seafood. For show, I don't want to have piles of meat because that's always heavy on the stomach. I get a food coma. Yeah. Exactly. So I'm keeping it light, sushi or seafood before. And after pretty fatty, disgraceful
shawarma.
Shawarma, doner, kapsalon, whatever. Or if you're in Asia, like bun soup or whatever, that always works for me.
And what is the weirdest thing on your rider?
I don't have weird things. I'm pretty easy. A bottle of beluga and water, and that's it.
Beluga?
Yeah.
What's that?
Vodka, Russian vodka.
Oh, okay.
That's for me. Or that's it, Then and cranberry juice also.
Yeah. For me,
because you think it's healthy.
No. I just don't like to drink my mixes with Coke or whatever. After 3 glasses of Coke, it's kind of my stomach juice goes to pieces. So
cranberry juice, you can't really go wrong, can you?
No, exactly.
Makes sense, I guess. Emmy's done want to know from Rom, what is the upcoming plans for Nocturnal Nights?
Well, nice question. Of course, we'll still keep going on like we do, but I think, like we just discussed, now sounds are getting more diverse. The artists going to explore more. I think we're gonna have also more diversity on the label. So I'm actually looking forward to hearing, new tracks from new artists or upcoming of the civil. How I say the.
Well, there's a lot of artists right now, I have to say, in the UK and in Ireland that are really exploring the boundaries, like Snyder, Will Atkinson. They're just pushing out some stuff that I would say were better in their shows than ever before.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I really love to hear that also on the label, and I've said also to Matt, Asteroid, my A&R manager, like we want to hear more difference. And we also say to all the guys that will send us a demo, like if this is not it, try to maybe, go outside the box, and do what feels good and not what you think needs to be done, and we're getting actually now more pretty interesting demos. So, I'm looking very much forward to the coming years to how this goes.
Awesome. Detina Abbott wants to know, is there a venue always dreamed of playing and haven't played yet? Because you're playing this month, you're still playing Ministry as well. You're playing Shine in Ibiza in a few months.
I would say maybe Amnesia.
Amnesia, okay.
Amnesia. I think it's such a legendary venue. And I've had some great nights as a clubber on the dance floor, on the terrace.
We all did, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, good Cream days as well, back in the day.
Yeah, I remember those days. Luckily, you played some of those, yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing Ferry Corsten play in the main room. Do you remember Eddie Halliwell?
Yes, of course.
Eddie Halliwell closed. Yeah. Some great nights there. So, yeah, I think Amnesia.
Amnesia is the number one for you. What about you?
Ooh, that's a good question. I've played a pretty decent amount of good clubs, but I don't think so. I'm a big fan of La Rock in São Paulo.
Okay.
I think that venue is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know it, guys, but it's...
Scores is a resident there right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I love the club, that setup, the vibe. I think it's amazing. I love the one in... I would love to play there again in Toronto, is it? Which, what's the name of the club?
New City Gas?
No, it's all... I've played there one time, but... damn it, what's the name of it? No, I don't remember. It's kind of an Omnia thing, but not like Omnia, of course, but that I think is a really nice club.
Spectacular club.
Yeah.
In Montreal. Montreal is always good anyway.
Toronto.
Toronto.
Was Toronto, yeah.
Okay. Nest? No. There's a few amazing clubs in Toronto as well.
But Omnia, that's the kind of club that would be nice to experience one time with all the things going on.
I think every single club in China looks like that.
Oh, China, of course. Yeah, exactly. Well, China is, of course, mega for all the clubs. Indeed, that's true.
Everything is so cool there.
All the small clubs are already way cooler than all the European clubs.
Very true. Rom, a question from Call Junction. Why did you stop adding the word Ram to your song titles? Because you had the Amsterdam, you had the Amazing. What else did you had? So many of them. Why did you stop doing it?
Yeah, because there's nothing left. There's actually 2 left, which will be coming up.
Okay,
that's funny that he brought it up. But yeah, I think there's 2 nice ones left, and then it's really finished. So that's mostly the point.
Okay, awesome. Well, you have some work to do now. Your album is done. Wanderlust, it's out right now. So make sure to stream it, like it. There's a CD as well.
Yes.
If you check the episode, there's actually a question in the show as well that you can win a CD.
Yes.
And thank you so much, Ron. Kolonie, you have a lot of new music coming up. Consistency, you said. So every 4 weeks, a new single.
Yeah, ideally, yeah. Every sort of 6 weeks.
So Reset came out this week. What's coming up next?
Yeah. So I've got a couple ready to finish, and I'll have something locked in, ready to come out in May time.
Okay. Well, awesome. Thank you so much, guys, for giving so much insight on A&Ring and, of course, your new music. Next week, we're going to be back with a new episode of A State of Trance podcast with special guest Lurum. See you then. Bye-bye.
Thank you for tuning in. Check all previous episodes on YouTube or your favorite podcast portal.